Good morning, traders. It's Monday, December the 2nd. Taking a look at the charts, we've got the SP 500 daily chart. Overlaid it is this blue line, which is our past cycle analysis. And you can see here going forward, we've got our forward-looking cycle analysis. Now, overall, we had the cycle topping out back over in this area over here, and the market ended up grinding higher, and it broke through a short-term cycle and trend and extended to the upside. So finally, we've seen some cycles recalibrate and we've got some in line. Overall, it looks like this week could be the start of a potential another top in the market. We'll see if the market can break down. At this point, the trend is still up. We're starting to see some volatility where we've had a big pop, quick pullback, another more or less an exhaustion type pop where it's running higher and higher, and we're starting to see some panic selling hit the market. Actually, on Friday, we saw a ratio of 3-to-1 on the NYSE, indicating there's actually quite a bit of selling going on behind the scenes, and that's usually a sign that the market is showing some distribution selling. So overall cycle going forward at this point looks like we've got a pullback in the overall equities market. Now, if we take a look at the pre-market this morning, this is the SP 500. This is the last trading session, so Friday's trading session. And then last night we saw futures open higher, had a strong pop early in the night, and then early this morning we saw another push up. But this morning we're actually seeing some pretty good selling. There's actually a lot of volume in pre-market, and we've sold off, formed a bear flag. We're continuing this move down. I think we could see this market potentially come down and test these lows from Friday, and there's a ton of selling volume considering what's going on. We talked about this last week, that last week was more or less light volume, kind of exuberant buying, everyone just piling into the stock market, and once that is over, we're going to see a big bout of selling and pull the market back down. It's gone a little too high too fast, and we're starting to see that today. Now, if we take a look at the other market, let's take a look over at the Russell 2000. Here is the Russell 2000, and typically the Russell 2000 leads the market, but it does sometimes have these big shakeouts. Now, overall, we're into this topping phase right here where we've seen the market, the Russell 2000, tag these levels before. We had a bull flag here and a really strong pop, but overall, the way that market sentiment is and cycles topping out, this type of big exhaustion type pop feels a lot like what we saw over here. If you look at these markets, we saw everyone piling into the stock market. The Russell 2000 rallied all the way up into this huge bullish formation short term, but sentiment was actually telling us the opposite story, and it led to a massive sell-off right after that. And we saw the same type of price action happen over here. Market, everyone piled into risk on stocks, and then of course it just got absolutely crushed. And that's what I think could unfold this week, and that's what we're going to be looking for. We're not going to jump the gun. The trend is still up. Russell 2000 has broken above here, so at this point we are looking for a sell signal to happen, but it won't happen for a few days at minimum if that happens. And we might not trade the Russell. It could be the SP 500 or long bonds or a safe haven play. We'll see which way to take it once the time comes, or how the markets unfold. Now, overall today, we're still seeing traders and investors pile in to the risk on equities. Even though we're seeing some selling in pre-market, that's not the average investor. Those are traders, and they're controlling the market. But overall, bonds are down nearly 1% today. You can see a big move down here on bonds. They're pulling back. We're actually seeing gold down almost 0.5%. It was down much sharper earlier this morning. Silver was down as well, about 1% this morning. It's recovered just in the near term. Since the stock market started to sell off the last hour and a half, we've seen the safe havens actually rebound. So overall, we're still seeing people pile in to the equities and moving out of the safe havens, and we're just starting to see short-term traders pile into the safe havens for just more or less the trading day as protection. So overall, I think we could see the precious metals market firm up here, but we do need to see the overall stock market sell off. And if we take a look at the GDX, the gold miners, it's had some pretty steady cycles oscillating here. overall, it's been consolidating and fading back down, and we're on an upswing here to the upside. Maybe it's going to start to break this previous high from November 20th. Maybe it's going to start to build more of a base, and this momentum that's been coming down, which is more or less flatlining here, it could start to turn higher with a higher high. Now, the small caps, the GDXJ, actually have kind of reversed that momentum to some extent, where it was a downtrend, and then we made a higher high, and we've made a higher high, so it's already starting to turn up. We did break, sorry, this was a higher low, higher low, higher low, and over here we made a higher high, and then we pulled down to a higher low and a higher low. So it is working itself up into this area. You could argue there's a couple levels of resistance here, but overall it is already starting to curve up, and small caps tend to lead first, larger caps next, and then we see gold typically afterwards. Not always, but that's what we tend to find in most cases. And looking at the cycle here this week, it looks like we've got this green cycle here pointing to potential higher prices and for the safe havens to start to pick up speed here soon and start to reverse. Taking a look over at energies, natural gas was up 4% earlier this morning and last night. It has pulled back. It's up 2% now. Overall, we played this rally, we've played this rally, and we shorted here and net short with an inverse ETF, and now we're letting it carve out a bottom. Last trading session, we saw the market just fall, the bottom fall out of natural gas. And you never know how the market's going to fully unfold, but it's washed out. Now we're going to be looking for some type of bottoming formation, much like we saw over here and over here. And now we're going to be looking for something over here for a potential another run and for the market to start to go higher. And that's what we might be looking for, another long play. I think natural gas has got the potential to get up into this 3 mark eventually on the next run, potentially even go higher. But overall, it is starting to make a series of it's gone from a downtrend to it's making higher lows at this point. And it's also broke this falling downtrend, and now it's making higher highs each time. So I think we got potential for it to continue to move higher, or potentially even break that 3 mark once a bottom gets formed. And keep in mind, this is a couple months. This is a month and a half, 2 months, a full month of trading. So it doesn't mean the move's going to happen this month, but overall it's going to take a while to probably build a base, give us a launch pad with some risk levels, and then we can get in and try and catch the next rally going up. Looking over at crude, up 2% this morning. It's been all over the place. If you look at the overall pattern here, it's been channeling to the upside. We've got this this channel through here. We've got this upper channel through here, and more or less huge volatility in price. And it's starting to kind of break down to some extent. We got this pivot low here. If it starts to break below here, that could be the sign that we're going to see the market continue to head lower. And we are looking for some type of once it breaks below here, I think we'll be down to this 51, and if the 51 level breaks, we're down to $40 or $44 per barrel going forward. But at this point, not really looking to trade it in this range. I feel as though most of the upside is done here. I think it's going to be really volatile, and of course, you can see it in the price here, where we have days where it moves 2, 3, 4, 5% on a given day, and happens very quickly. So overall, we're letting this pattern mature till we get to something cleaner and that we want to take advantage of. Last but not least, taking a look at UUP, which is the US dollar ETF. It mimics it to some extent. Overall, it's showing that we got downward bias this week in the market. If the dollar pulls back, maybe we're going to see that help lift commodities like gold and miners and start to move higher. But again, overall, the dollar is in a strong uptrend where it rallies, pulls back, rallies, pulls back, rally. It's in a pullback phase, maybe starting a new rally, but overall, it does have the look and feel that we could see it come back down and test these lows potentially, or pull back a little bit before potentially going higher. So overall, some weakness in the dollar could help the precious metals move higher this week. Anyways, that's it for now. Talk to you in a little bit. Bye-bye.